All right, welcome back to the Down the Shore podcast. I am Zach Rufo.
I'm Nick Sicoli.
And we are here today with Wil and Cara, and they are going to be telling us about a little bit more about their company that they have. Basically, optimal health medicine, right?
Correct, yeah.
We'll let you guys introduce yourselves, kind of run with it, and tell us more about what you do and how you're helping everybody.
Sounds good. I'm Cara. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've been a nurse practitioner for approximately 10 years. Basically, I was in the traditional medicine arena for, since the time I started. I had a hard time finding my niche. I was in family medicine. I did neurology for a period of time. Eventually, I fell into a position with doing hormone replacement therapy using bioidentical hormones, and I loved it. Proceeded to get certified and trained. So I'm certified and trained, and I've been doing this ever since.
Okay.
So I'm Wil. I'm actually a police officer in Avalon. I'm a sergeant there. I'm also a real estate agent with DeSatnick. Shout out to Todd for giving me the opportunity there. And then I'm also the co-owner of Restore Health by Science, which is optimal health medicine, something we're just trying to bring to Cape May County, something a little different, a new flavor that we never saw here before. And we're just clients ourselves of the treatment, so we can give a firsthand account of how it works for people.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay.
Awesome.
Cool. So you guys are located brick and mortar, right, in Marmora?
Correct. Yes, we have an office space in Marmora. We've been there since about July.
All right, so comprehensive blood panels, right?
Yeah.
So I recently just had a full
Okay.
blood panel done at Quest Diagnostic, right?
Oh, nice, yeah.
I went into my primary care doctor, said, hey, look, I don't know the last time I had full scope of blood work done. Mm-hmm. They went in, sent me in, everything was good, thankfully. Mm-hmm. What do you guys do differently? Or is it similar? Is it different? Is it above and beyond? Because I feel like that's the basic stuff that there's always another level of a deeper dive that you could do.
Exactly, yeah. So your blood work tells a story. So it is above and beyond what your typical traditional practitioner would order. So I'm checking a lot of biomarkers, specifically, heart biomarkers, so cardiac. What's your cardiac health look like? Are you at risk for heart attack right now? What's going on actively in your body right now? I check thyroid markers. So I check the whole thyroid rather than just kind of piecemealing it like most traditional practitioners would. I check inflammatory markers, again, which tells me, is there inflammation in your body? Gut health, which really plays a major role, as well as, all of your other sex hormones as well.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So then, by doing that, I'm able to put together, I study it, I put together a booklet for you. So I study it before I see you, I make notes, there are graphics in it. And when you come in, we review everything. It's not, hey, you get a phone call and everything's normal, So I'm really breaking it down for you and really getting into the nitty gritty as to what's going on.
So you're educating the clients.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm educating them, answering any questions, and showing them, not just telling them, hey, you have an issue with X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
And to piggyback off that, I think the most important thing is that booklet that you receive is broken down in palatable information, right? So you go to your provider, you get blood work sometimes, and they just overwhelm you with definitions. You're like, oh, yeah, sure. And then they just say normal, and you're like, okay, I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
This actually is her sitting down with you for about 3 to 5 hours. So when you come for an appointment, to piggyback, like I said, off that is you get the comprehensive blood work. Once the results come back, she creates the booklet. Well, the booklet, too, is when you come in, you get an in-body scan. So we just bought an in-body 580 machine to build off that right here. You would actually stand on the machine. You would get a comprehensive readout of your body composition, and then it would break it down for you, and she'll read that to you. And so you would get that, and then you would do cognitive testing as well. So we have a computer system that's in our brick and mortar where you take about a 30-minute test. You got noise-canceling headphones on, and it pops up on the screen, and you take this test that kind of gives you a baseline of your cognitive assessment right in office. So that booklet, why it's 3 to 5 hours, is you literally sit there for that time, and she'll break that down. We'll say that's 2 hours. This takes about another 30 minutes to do the test, dissect it, tell you what your body body composition is, what your body composition is looking like, and then you'll do a neurocognitive test and review those as well. So in that time frame, you can ask as many questions you want. We're not pushing you out the door like a normal practitioner might. Hey, do you have anything you want to talk about? Is there anything you've been feeling, experiencing? Are you understanding the information that I'm giving you? Are you comprehending these things? When you go to your normal practitioner, man, it's like 5-10 minutes, 15 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Because it's so fast, and I've had that
turning you over.
experience. Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you said you had comprehensive blood work, it made me chuckle a little bit because I had the comprehensive blood work too.
Yeah.
And I go to her and she's like, what's comprehensive about this? It's as basic can be. But for them, your insurance is only going to cover a certain amount. You can't really peel back the layers of what's really going on to get to the core of what your root cause might be of the issues you're experiencing. So
Yeah, I mean, in traditional practitioners' defense, I mean, they don't have the time, right? We all know that. Nor do they have the training, and their hands are tied, like you said, with insurance. So it makes it really tough. So that's why we pride ourselves in being able to sit, talk, tell the story, answer the questions, and just be present for our clients.
Which is good. I mean, I know myself, and I know, Nick is another person who, is very healthy and all around in his life. But I feel like there's always another level that you're looking, okay, well, if I do this, can this help me this way? Can that help me that way? Especially as I've gotten older, it's become more of a priority, from all the different angles in life. How am I sleeping? How am I feeling? How am I thinking? Am I clear when I wake up? And is my body deficient in something?
Right.
Things I don't know about. And there's more information out there than there's ever been.
Right.
Which is great, but it's also everybody's an expert in everything these days.
and it's overwhelming.
And it is. You
It's
go on
completely
Instagram,
overwhelming.
TikTok, Google, you read things and it's like, you don't know what's right and what's wrong. And to a certain point, it's like, I'm done with this. I'm not even thinking about it anymore because it is so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And like to what you said too, the comprehensive, my blood work came back and I'm like, I don't understand any of this, but like they dumb it down for you on the app and it's like, well, if you have a green check mark, that means everything's okay. And I'm like, all green, thank God.
But not only that, they're going by, your practitioner is going by the normal levels, right? So when you get your blood work drawn, you're being compared to the two most common groups of people that get their blood work drawn on a regular basis: old people and sick people.
Okay.
So naturally, as a healthy young man, you're going to be normal. But nobody you don't want to be normal. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. If you look around at the general population, most people are sick and overweight.
Yeah.
So that's who you guys are being compared to. That's
there's a
who
lot
we
of
are
money
being
in
compared to.
Yeah.
that.
That makes sense because I got blood work done and they were like, oh, you're iron deficient and you have like 0% body fat. I'm like, I could have told you that. I know that.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Thanks, man.
That. Yeah.
Right. So naturally, like they're gonna check your blood work and they're gonna say, oh yeah, that's normal. I had a client tell me last week, the blood work that I had drawn, she took to her primary, and her primary did not say anything. She's like, yeah, she said, everything looks good. And she said, you didn't tell me that everything looked normal. And I said, I know, but I interpret it much differently than a traditional practitioner would. I'm looking for you to be optimal, not normal. So I'm shooting for a different range than they are, and that's just how I'm trained. But in terms of training with hormone replacement therapy, it's like the wild, wild west. So you have to be so careful in who you talk to or who you go to for treatment too, because everybody treats differently. Yeah, and I think it's important to say that because it can be dangerous sometimes. I don't, for example, with guys on testosterone, I don't block estrogen. Estrogen is an amazing thing in men. But you go onto the internet and you Google estrogen in a man and like, oh my gosh, it's going to cause gynecomastia, which is breast tissue in men.
Right.
And it's like, no, it doesn't. It does a lot of really amazing things for guys. And it's it aromatizes from testosterone. So when you were 18, you weren't blocking your estrogen and you had very high amounts of it in your body. And it was protecting your heart, your brain, your bones. And it's just about the type of education that the practitioner who is actually practicing this, it's what they, you want it to be reliable.
Reliable, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much like we say that too, like, I feel like there's a lot of bro science out there.
Exactly. I say that all the time.
Things and I'll take testosterone and I'm going to go in the gym and bench 300 pounds or, And it's not, and, when I was younger, it would be like, oh, okay, same thing. Like, oh, yeah, you can't you need estrogen blockers because you're going to get gyno and this and that. And it's like, no, that's not how it is.
Estrogen does really, well, specifically 17 beta estradiol, because that's what we have in our body. It does really amazing things in both men and women. So the results that you get with it, the protection you get with it, it's really awesome.
To piggyback off that, though, it was kind of funny as well, because she'll have clients come to her because we're very accessible. Like, she's able to take text messages, fields, calls. That's what separates us as well. It's 24/7. If you have her direct number where you're going to get the provider or you're going to get me to answer any of the back end questions for payments and things like that, like, there's no 48-hour wait, 72-hour wait. It's like within the hour, unless we're at a kid's soccer game or doing something family oriented, or sleeping, within a reasonable time, you'll get a response. And that's what a lot of our clients love too, is be like, wow, man, you answer. Like, I call my provider, I might not hear for 72 hours, or I get the runaround. It's like, no, you'll get a response. And if you ask us a question that we don't have the response for immediately, we'll get the answer. We just got to look for it, and we'll get back to you. But the funny thing about the bro science is, like, she has clients text her, and they're like, hey, I saw this on a forum on Facebook. And she's like, well, what's their credentials? Like, what did they say? And
would you take medical advice from any of those guys on those forums?
Yeah, I mean,
let me ask that first.
Going through Reddit feeds and things like that.
And we're laughing. We're like, and they're like, well, it was Mike from Omaha who just had something to say about, like, HRT. And it's like, well, what's his credentials? And they're like, I don't know, but he said it, and it might be true. And she's like, well, let me calm you down, and this is the science behind it, and she'll explain it to you and break it down. So just being accessible in that aspect is huge. And to give a quick testimonial for me, to kind of build for the normal person who wasn't in this at all, and she was in the field and she worked for a company that did this type of treatment, and I'm getting close to 40 years old, and I don't mind talking about my age because I've always been in shape my whole life. But what I noticed is some things in my life that were changing, right? And I was just accepting it because I was going to be 40 years old. I was getting to that point where, like, that just happens, right? And like the aches and pains, or the motivation to get up and go to the gym, or just like brain fog, mental clarity, strength, just muscle retention, things like that. And I was having these conversations with her, and she's like, that's not normal. Like, that's not okay. You can't just accept getting to the age of 40.
Getting old.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we all try to say, well, that's just part of the process. Well, it doesn't have to be. And that's what makes us unique in this field, is like, we're preventative medicine. Don't wait until your knees hurt, or you need surgery, or you don't feel well and you have those aches and pains. Do the preventative measures. There's preventative care that we're providing that can actually pick these biomarkers up early in the process to say, hey, you're trending towards X, or trending towards Y. Let's nip that in the bud and start working on that before you get to the point where you said it was green. Well, what if it's lit up red?
Right.
Now, are we too late? How far are we in the process at that point with that Quest Labs? So I just want people to understand that from the layman person who wasn't in this, who never did testosterone or anything like that until now. Like, it's been a game changer. Like, I don't have those aches and pains. My mental clarity, I'm sleeping better. Like, my mood, because I work shift work for police work, I was just a zombie walking around sometimes. And this has just helped me out greatly, because she found micronutrients I was deficient in as well. Excuse me. So I was like deficient in vitamin B. I was deficient in vitamin D. Like, there was little nutrients that I didn't know I was deficient in, but this comprehensive blood work was able to pull those things out for me. Things I would have never heard from my primary care physician. No slight to them, but they don't have the time. They don't have the resources. Who knows what they'll get reimbursed
even
for.
That, if they did tell you, hey, you have low vitamin D, go replace your vitamin D. Okay, well, you're walking out of the office thinking, okay, well, what brand, how much, how long do I take this? Right. I mean, there's just so many questions. So I make sure, again, like, I'm readily accessible. If you have any questions about anything, that I can be there to answer those questions, whether it be text, phone call, patient portal. And I tell my patients, please don't go to Google. I'm your Google. I'm certified. I'm trained. If you want to study, I will give you a study. Everything I do is evidence-based, research-backed. So I can support you with that literature if you like to read that kind of stuff. But it's there's a lot to navigate in this space, especially because it's newer, even though it's been around for a long time. People just don't know, how to navigate it, I guess. And I'm here to help with all of that.
Which is good, because I think a lot of times people too go online or do their research, and they come to the conclusion that they wanted, that they they want.
Right.
Oh, I'm sick. Oh, I think that I must just have a thyroid problem. I can't lose weight because I think I have a thyroid problem. Or my grandmother had bad heart disease, but 40, 60 years ago. So, heart disease just runs in my family.
Right, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I heard a quote the one day, and it said like, heart disease runs in your family because nobody runs in your family.
Right.
And it's
so
like,
true.
just because it was one way doesn't mean things can't change for you or for the next generation. Or, and there are things I believe that are, in your DNA and generational and, but that doesn't mean they can't be addressed.
Right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I talk about epigenetics with my clients all the time, and I did forget to mention I do check genetics. So I'm going to check, hey, do you carry the gene that causes you to develop Alzheimer's dementia? Do you carry the gene that causes you to just drop dead of a heart attack? Okay, say you do have the gene. It's not the end of the world, right? Just because you carry that gene does not mean you're going to drop dead of a heart attack today, right? It's your epigenetics. So, for example, your environment. What are you eating? How are you living a sedentary lifestyle? Are you exercising? There's just so many things that play into that. And to play on what you were saying, it's not just because it runs in your family does not mean that you are going to develop these chronic diseases and illnesses. So it's important to explain all of that. And like, it's not a death sentence if you do have these genes or if you do have this disease or illness. So it's very important just to sort through that, explain all this, because I think a lot of people don't understand that.
And it probably kicks a lot of people into gear to be like, I have to change.
100%.
You have to change. Like
100%.
my sister, for example, has epilepsy. I have eventually developed it when I was drinking alcohol. And then I quit drinking alcohol. Haven't had a seizure since.
Right.
But like, if I didn't change that, God only knows how many I would have, had potentially.
Exactly.
It's the power of change.
Yeah. Or you could have accepted, hey, if I drink alcohol, I'm going to have a seizure.
That's actually like, funny because that's what I did do for a while. I was just like, this is a future Nick problem if I have one. That's,
Yeah.
And to talk about that as well, I think an important thing is this preventative medicine we talk about in optimal health. This is an investment in yourself, right?
Yeah.
So people take it a little more serious when they make this investment, right? So initially when we started this journey, and we won't get into pricing here because you can contact us, schedule an appointment, but they were like, wow, that seems expensive. Well, when you look at what we're doing and how intensive it is and the 3 to 5 hours you would never get with a normal practitioner, when people walk out of that appointment, they're like, wow, I've never seen something like this. I've never been talked to like this. Now I get the investment that I'm making in myself. This isn't a monetary, like, oh, look at the amount of money I'm spending. It's like, what are you getting out of it? So we see those patients now 4 months, 8 months down the road, and their lives are completely different. Yeah. We're having people come back who are in marriages that were like, we haven't had intercourse in years. Things have changed because now the woman's she got her blood work. She knew what was wrong with her. Now she's feeling better. The husband's on HRT as well, or BHRT as well. Now he's feeling better. Now little things that they might have been arguing and complaining about, which were hormonal imbalances possibly, or micronutrient deficiencies, are getting corrected, and now they're actually enjoying each other again. Right. We've heard these things from married couples. Several couples, you know what I mean?
Which is good, and that's literally life-changing stuff.
Yeah, that is. And they're getting educated, too, on top of the life-changing. It's like they understand the life-changing that's going on. It's not just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to pop this vitamin.
100%.
People don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's, I think, true in every aspect of life. And like what you said, about pricing, and I think that everybody has different things going on in life or things, but I think, at least for me, as I've gotten older too, your body's, this is the only body you have. This is your health and everything. So if you don't take care of it, if you don't invest in it, if you don't choose to go for a walk, or if instead of eating donuts for breakfast, you're gonna have bananas and apples, things like that. If you don't, these little changes where you invest in over the long haul and choose to invest in yourself, I think if you do choose to invest in yourself, will pay huge dividends down the line. People are so worried about, I need to put money away in my IRA or my 401k and this and that. I need to invest. And then they become 65, 70, 80 years old, and they have all this, money invested, but where's the investment in? Or
you don't get to enjoy it because you die.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a caveat to that, and I would say it's like, great, you saved $1 million, but you might not make it to 80 because you didn't take care of yourself grinding so hard. Why not start the preventative process and age gracefully, more gracefully, or better than you would if you didn't start this at 40 years old?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's an important piece to it. And when I tell people about the pricing, I come from the law enforcement side, right? If you were to litigate a case, you would want the best attorney, right?
Right.
And you're going to pay the best attorney the top dollar because they're going to do the best for your case, and they're the most educated, you would think, or they do well, and their win to loss ratio is better. It's the same thing with her training experience. She has hundreds of hours of training experience in this. This isn't her just waking up one day and say, I'm just going to start bio and go, I'm just going to do this. Like, there's degrees behind this. There's certifications that and we're actually going to a conference in Florida next week. There's continuing education going on. We're not being stagnant. So like, I think that's an important tool to tell people is like, you want the best. We know she's one of the best in this area for sure, if not even expanding, because she's continuing to do the continuing education. She has the certifications in this hormone replacement therapy field. So like I said, I liken it to that attorney. You want the best, right? You would pay for that. Nobody would bat an eye if you got in trouble and the attorney was like, yeah, man, I'm $250 an hour. Yeah. You'd be like, you'll get me out? And he'd be like, yeah, I can do that. But you just got to pay my services.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of the same difference. And that's what I put it akin to, you know?
We talk about this too. Same thing. Like, let whoever is the expert in their field, let them handle that. Yeah. Like, even real estate wise, we know how to sell real estate. We know what we're doing. But we come real, there's a price to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell the architect how to do his or her job. Let them do what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Pay them to do what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I think if you can do that across the board in different areas of your life, things become easier, you become less stressed, and you become more successful.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And it seems like you guys have, are reinvesting into this. The new technology, continuing education, things like that, because I'd imagine this is an ever-evolving field.
It is, and it's important to stay up to date on all this stuff because, like you said, there are, the training that I had, I've taken it to another level in terms of things that I've been implementing. And the difference that I see in my clients just by doing that is amazing. I mean, I could sit here all day and tell you stories. Or text messages that I get from clients. And it's just, that is what fills my cup every day. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I got into healthcare because I genuinely, and it's so cliche, but I wanted to help people. And now I finally feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives and I'm truly helping them. And the proof is in the pudding. They're telling me that they're feeling better and they're looking better. And I see it. I see it in the blood work. I see it in them, in the body composition scans. They're losing weight. They're feeling better. They're looking better. And they're getting preventative medicine with it, which to me is priceless, ultimately. So that's why I continue to grow and just be better for my clients.
That's awesome.
And just to, like you said you drank a lot in the past. Well, that's what you were spending your money on, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I talk to people around me, and I'm like, well, look what you did last weekend. You talk about you don't have the money for this preventative care that would actually make you enhance your life in some form or fashion, and then it makes them stop and think, is like, oh, crap. Yeah. I never put it that way in that perspective. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, did you spend $100 at the bar or at alcohol? Did you go to dinner? You spent $400 this weekend. Ours is X amount. And it's way cheaper than that. And I'm proving to you that this is going to benefit you in some form or fashion.
Your quality of life is going to get better than
You're not waking up hungover. You're not feeling like garbage every day. You know what I mean? So it's like, I try to tell people that too, is you just got to shift the lens you're looking through it at. And look at the bigger picture and actually what the investment is for and how it can help you in the future. So,
I mean, we can even just pick apart one of the hormones that I use to treat, testosterone, because that's the hot one with guys. And now it's really coming to light with women. What a lot of people don't understand is that testosterone is a female's most abundant hormone. Unfortunately, you will never get a prescription from a traditional practitioner. Insurance will never cover it. It's not FDA approved for females, even though it's a female's most abundant hormone. And the reason why I love it so much is because it's apoptotic, meaning it fights off cancer cells, which a lot of people don't realize. So it's not just important in a man, but it's important in a woman as well. It's important for a man's sex health, just like it is for female sex health. Skin, it's really amazing what it does for skin. As we get older, our skin gets thin, right, and saggy. Well, it's because we have no testosterone as we get older. So you build those 6 layers of the skin back up with testosterone, and it's amazing what you can do. Women are out there spending a lot of money on Botox, fillers, all this stuff. All you need is testosterone, Yeah. So it's really amazing, what you can do with hormones. I had a female complaining of incontinence, or stress incontinence when she would sneeze or laugh or cough because she had babies, right? I said to her, get on testosterone, let's get some exercises. You have muscles in your body. She said, really? I said, absolutely. Testosterone, you have a muscle and and all over your body, you know?
Yeah.
So all you have to do is exercise, get on testosterone, exercise those muscles, and, you know, you'll come back to life. So it's really fascinating just to see even the little things that people have just accepted as aging that have, you know, improved in their lives. It's really quite amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know you guys have 2 young children. I have
do.
2 young ones. I know Nick's working on
Got
it.
none.
So how has this transitioned into the way, you know, that you parent and raise them? And, you know, explain a little bit about that. Do you guys treat children? I don't.
Well, we treat people of all ages for the most part.
Okay.
We don't really treat young kids just
Okay.
because they're just starting to get their
Right.
hormones at an early age. But we do treat, you know, teenage years. You know, females really, you know, at a younger age than most men, just because they have PCOS. A lot of providers don't know how to treat PCOS, whereas I have specialized training in all of that. So we do live our lives in a way where things have changed. I'm more conscientious of the food that I give my children, you know, and just the environment that I put them in. So that, you know, that's a good place to start with young kids, because I mean, I talk about this all the time, and people who really know me know that I don't like the food the way food is today, and I'm very open and honest about that. You know, I believe we need to get back to, you know, whole foods,
That's
clean
how I am.
food.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem as to why people are so deficient in their hormones today.
Well, there's no quality. And
No.
I mean, if you
No.
look at, you know, just like the general stuff that I wouldn't even say kids, most people eat. If you look around,
Yeah, it's processed.
the quality and everything's just processed. Everything's processed out of it. And unless you make like a conscientious choice and an effort to eat healthy and eat whole foods, or, you know, I wouldn't even say organic stuff, because if you can do that, great. But,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
if you're just still eating regular fruit or whatever, that's okay too. But it's just so much more convenient in this fast-paced world that we live in.
Right.
That it almost is just like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But tomorrow never comes.
Yeah, it's the truth.
And to touch on the kids thing, is she's done a lot of research, and she instills in them too. It's just education.
Yeah.
We show our children like what's good and what's not, what's nutrient dense and what's not. And we take it a step further. We order from Lancaster and get it shipped to our house. Like, we do a lot of things that go above and beyond what the normal
We order
person
from
would.
far.
Which which
Yeah.
is good. That goes back into
that's
it literally
cool. We do that
investing.
too,
Yeah.
We know
in that
what the
stuff.
ingredients are. We know what we're getting,
Yeah.
but we can't preach invest in yourself, and then on the back end we're just going buying crap groceries and not.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to name
No,
any
sorry.
corporations or
yeah,
companies,
absolutely.
but I get it. Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like we're trying to instill that in them. And it's funny, like my son the other day, he's 6, and they were giving out snacks at a soccer game. And he's like, no, I'm good, thank you.
It's amazing.
And he's
Which
like,
is-
But
he's
you
like,
know
I'm
what's
good.
so-
And he knew
It's
he knew it
amazing.
wasn't a snack that was nutrient dense. And he's like, and we're like, man, that's awesome, man. And we have there's a company we utilize, and we can buy candy through them and stuff like that. It's all organic.
Yeah.
And I don't want to promote anybody here, but
Right.
so we have lollipops, we have gummy bears, but if you look at the ingredients, like 4 ingredients.
And they don't get that all the time.
So
That's
my
right.
mom, I grew up and my mom would buy those kinds of candies.
Okay.
I remember all my friends would be like, your house stinks when we have to have snacks.
That's
Like,
where we're
everything's too
at.
healthy.
That's where we're at. Yeah, we're
but-
the same way. But the kids, it's funny. They'll come over or they'll have friends over, and they don't even think about it because it's just like they're getting used to it now.
Well, that's how I
and they'll
was.
have it, and once
Yeah.
they're used to it, it's like you've broken them that. It's kind of wild
It's
to
hard,
see.
you know, but it's cool when you're able to raise them like that from a young age. And I can go through the same stuff with my kids now of, eating vegetables and explaining to them, why we're gonna have chicken breast tonight as opposed to chicken fingers, and you go through the whole process. And I, like you said, I think a lot of it is education.
It is, yeah.
And I think just in general, a lot of it's education across the board for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like even just the little bit of time we've been sitting here, this is like a whole learning experience for me.
Yeah, definitely for me, too.
And I'm so much more interested. I have some friends that have been clients of optimal health medicine in a wide different scope of things, but a lot of it is they're telling me things and I'm not really sure what they're talking about.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I'm on testosterone, and like it goes back to bro science.
Yeah.
And it always comes back to, well, yeah, I feel stronger in the gym, I feel this, I feel that. But I know that they're getting these scans and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and I've always been kind of interested in it, but now even more so now
Yeah.
from sitting down and hearing hearing everything that you guys have to
And
offer.
the awesome thing about the business model too is you can do the comprehensive consultation and you don't have to move forward.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like we don't lock you into anything. You can come pay the fee to do the comprehensive consultation, get your booklet, do the cognitive testing, the in-body scan, and we'll say, hey, this is, well, she'll say, let me clarify that, not me. But the provider, her, Cara, will say that, hey, here's your booklet, here's the recommendations I make, here's what I see you're deficient in. If you like to move forward, fine. We can order your micronutrients, we can order your supplements, your peptides, because we're moving into that space. We have peptides and things like that.
Is that like collagen and?
We have GLP-1s peptides. We have
NAD is a big one.
what is it? BPC 157, things like that. We're moving into. So we have different things, and we have access to collagen and things like that as well. And she'll give you the booklet, and you can go home and talk to your spouse or your significant other, and say, hey, this is something I want to move forward with. Maybe it's something you don't. But we're not locking you into anything. We are completely transparent with pricing. We're completely transparent about the process because we don't ever want you to come back and be like, you were deceptive. And when something we found about like the larger companies online and different things like that because we've had clients come from them, and they're like, man, I could never get a hold of anybody. I never knew exactly what I was paying every month. It was always changing. Or like they would hit me with some, hey, you need this too, get this supplement. And they're like, well, it really wasn't doing anything for me, but it was an extra X amount of dollars. And they're like, by the time my month was over, it was like $400, $500 a month. And I'm like, wow, that's insane. So we have a set rate which your hormones will be included in on a monthly, and I don't mind saying that it'll be $289 a month with your hormones included. And then you can add on certain things like if you want peptides, NAD, micronutrients, that's all separate. But so we're completely transparent with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I did want to go back to like you had mentioned about what we do at home, and I do want to emphasize like all of this does start at home. It starts, your hormones start developing. You start producing hormones when you're young, and it is so important to instill healthy eating, being active, like all of those things when they're young. Because I have to be honest, now I was taught and trained to assume, for example, for females, that every female has PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay. Which is essentially insulin resistance in females, okay, which can then cause a cascade of effects throughout their life and then into adulthood, which could develop type 2 diabetes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I think it's really important to talk about these things. We hear about all these females. I don't know if you have a daughter or not, but getting put on birth control at young ages because of heavy menstrual bleeding, acne, all these different reasons, and we're destroying women because of that, and we're not talking about it. We're putting a Band-Aid on these root cause issues, which are hormonal issues. So it's just even men, the same thing. If you had your father at the same age as you, in this room today, he would have had more testosterone at your age than you do.
And why is that?
And it's because, again, of our epigenetics, right?
Okay.
So your dad was likely living in a world where we're eating more whole foods, right? And then the same with his father. His father probably had way more testosterone than him, at the same age, again, because of epigenetics.
And the endocrine disruptors in the environment, too.
It's insane.
I mean, that's huge. The plastics, the microplastics they talk about now, and different things like that. So, I mean, that's a huge movement now where they're talking about what's your food packaged in, like the different things you're consuming on a regular basis, these ingredients, what are those long-term effects of those things? Your father didn't have those. Your grandfather didn't have those. My grandfather's 95 now. He was eating, like, off the farm. Like, there wasn't all this processed, ultra-processed food. He was eating steak and potatoes, like, every night. His wife cooked it for him, and there's, like, 4 ingredients going into it. You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's just like you don't even know what's going on, what's in your food when you go out to eat, or when you turn the back of a label. We thought we were eating healthy years ago. We turned the label around like, we can't pronounce 7 of those ingredients. That can't be okay.
I got this app recently on my phone that scans like a product, made food shopping 10 times longer for me. Because it's like, I think this is healthy because it says organic on it. And I pick it up and it's like a 1 out of 100. It's like bad. And I'm like, man.
Exactly. And labeling's deceptive.
Oh, yeah. They go by colors, you look at things, there's like grass and like little cow on there.
And you're grabbing it because it says organic.
Oh, this looks good. One of my friends does branding for a big company based out of New York. And we talk about this and like some of the stuff they do like an unbelievable job on stuff. But yeah, it's the color scheme and the way things are laid out. And there's like, millions and millions of dollars of science and research built into this stuff because they just want to sell it to you. Not his company specifically, just companies in general, and what goes into it. And it's like, they're more concerned about the bottom line on, we added an extra $1 billion this year. but we don't really, the ingredients haven't changed. This hasn't been, the food's not any better.
Yeah.
Quality's not there.
Right.
If anything, it's worse.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. A lot of times.
Yeah. Sorry. So that's why people are feeling crappier at younger ages. They'll come. I have 30-year-old guys come to me, and they're like, I'm feeling this way, and I'm not sure that this is what it is, but I just want to check. And I'm thinking to myself, this is what it is. It is hormone deficiencies. Testosterone and thyroid for a man, and then their mind is blown. Well, is this normal for me at this age? Well, it just depends. Like,
there's no normal for every person's
exactly.
different. I mean, I think I'm not the same as Nick.
Right.
All of us are different.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing too for me, like as I get older and I worry about like long-term things with being there, in 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, having little kids. And being able to enjoy that stuff when they have kids, and I don't ever want to look back and say, man, shit, I should have did this 10 years ago,
right?
Or I should have done this 5 years ago. Like they would say, all right, the best time to start is right now. You didn't do it before, but now and you have no excuse to bury your head in the sand.
Right.
Your eyes are open to these things.
And like I said, we provide that 1 hour complimentary consultation for people to come ask me questions, talk to me. I'm readily available to just let you know, like, hey, is this for you? Is this something you should invest in? I mean, which most people should, to be honest with you. But I'm at least there to answer your questions and talk a little bit more about it. Yeah.
No, it's definitely spiked my interest. I definitely think that that's definitely something I'm going to look more into.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you said, it's awesome. We want to give people the avenue, so you get that complimentary consultation, which is an hour long. The space is blocked out for you. You can either do it in person or Zoom in the comfort of your own home. And all you got to do is just bring up some things you've been dealing with that maybe you've been going to your provider for years, and you're just not getting the results that you believe you should be getting at this point. Or you have to remember, every time you go to your provider, sometimes, unfortunately, because it's such a quick appointment, man. I know I went to my provider and be like, man, my back hurts. Pill. Or like, today I woke up sad. They're like, here. And I'm like, no. Or like, you just don't even know. I'm just using that as an example. It's so fast to just give you that prescription. There's no root causes,
it's
right?
It's a knee-jerk reaction, really.
Yeah, there's no root causes to it. So it's just unfortunate that we get the time to sit down with you and go through this blood work. We get the time, like, for instance, when I got my testosterone checked, I was normal, but I was on such a low end range. When she saw it, she's like, how do you function like this? Like, because I was in the normal range, but now it's like I feel amazing. I feel great because I'm optimal, So there's the difference in that. And then just taking the time to, like I said, do the complimentary consultation, reach out, ask her questions, get some feedback, see if it's something for you. If it's not, no skin, nothing lost out of the game, but you might find out something important. Like, I listened to a client she had the other day, and it was a female who just couldn't get any answers anywhere. And Cara was able to walk her through the process, like, because she was on birth control, because she was dealing with other things, wasn't able to have children and things like that. Cara's like, I got it. Like, just based on what you told me, you painted a picture, and I have the exact remedy for what's going on with you. And then she was able to get the blood work, and now the blood work supported what Cara's initial diagnosis might have been, and it was cool. She like lit up, and like the excitement on her face was like, I was never getting these answers.
Well, it's just exciting. It's awesome to see like people just get excited about getting answers. Like, I'm not crazy. I had a female say to me the other day, I'm not crazy. That means I'm not crazy. I'm like, no, you're not crazy. Like, especially these perimenopausal females. I mean, it can start in the 30s and goes well into their 40s until they hit menopause, and it's a really rough time in life. And finally, people are starting to talk about it. I mean, people are develop depression, anxiety. Women will come to me and say, I've never had this anxiety in my life. Now I have this overwhelming anxiety. It's so crippling, I can't even get out of bed. And I can tell them exactly why this is going on. And I can show them this is why it's going on. And I can treat them, and they can say, you're right. Like, that was why that was happening,
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
You're not giving them a script and saying, all right, see you in 2 weeks.
Exactly.
A lot of times it's a Band-Aid, or they numb the pain, or they, like you said, that they're, okay, well, we're not doing a deep dive, but this should hold you
You're
over.
getting to the roots of the problem,
Exactly.
and it's like, let's change this and see how it goes.
Yes, and when you see people's biomarkers and different things like that, you see some of these people with like 3 on the testosterone for women, or like some guys in the 90s when even the normal range is like 900, right? Or what's it go up to?
It just depends what lab you use.
Yeah, but you'll see, you're like 97 out of 900. Like, whoa, you must be struggling.
How are you
like,
walking? How
are you feeling? Like, how are you doing this on a daily basis? So it's cool to see that. And I think for me, the biggest thing, just being in the background as I am, is just hearing the women, I think, has been the most shocking thing for me. I did not know as many women were struggling with different things. And to give a quick synopsis,
antidepressants.
Yeah, and just after having children and the drop in their hormones, because you're producing all these hormones as you're pregnant. Well, the minute you have your child, I think you lose a majority of, not all, those hormones, because you've now the child you were bearing and you were trying to nurture is now gone, so you don't need as much, and your body kind of releases
the placenta from the mom. The estrogen and progesterone, which was very high in the female, has now dropped. So then we've adopted these terms, the baby blues, postpartum depression. Well, as a person who suffered from severe postpartum depression and was put on an antidepressant, I now know, wow, it was progesterone that I was lacking. It wasn't an antidepressant that I was lacking. It was progesterone. I just had a baby. I had no progesterone in my body, and that is a female's natural calming hormone. So it helps you to sleep at night. So a lot of these perimenopausal females who are like, I can't sleep at night, I'm having these hot flashes, night sweats. Well, that's why, because you don't have enough progesterone to calm you, put you to sleep, keep you asleep. So it's really enlightening. I know it's been enlightening for him.
100%.
And that was the one thing he did say to me. He said, I never realized how many females were on antidepressants. And I said, this is the disservice we've done to women, because, we're whiny women. That was how you're labeled in the medical community. Oh, this is a whiny woman. And you would say it like before they came in to your coworker. Oh, here comes so-and-so. She's all these complaints. Well, these are real complaints that women are really suffering from. And it's just, finally I'm able to provide these answers and relief to females and men.
I mean, but like I said, the women, in respect, because I never, in just our personal relationship, when that time of the month was coming, she was a different person. Like, she's just like, oh man, you gotta stay away from her, or
it's
just
like it's a joke in every relationship.
That's like just a running joke of
it is.
Yes.
Oldest time.
Exactly. Or like you just flip that wheel for no reason. What's going on? And you're like, 7 days later, something happens. You're like, I get it. Leading up to this, I see what's going on. Or like you're dealing with some different things emotionally, and it's like now that she's been on BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, like our relationship has just gotten so much better because now she's not having those different ups and downs. Like everything's kind of regulated, everything's optimal now. So it's like the things you look at in the past, you're like, man, she's nuts.
And I knew in that moment, like, wait, why did I act that way?
There's reasons for this stuff now that I'm in this space and kind of seeing different things and how this kind of works. You're like, like I've actually came up to her several times and like, man, I apologize, like for not being more sympathetic or not understanding what you're going through, because you were actually dealing with way more than I ever imagined. Yeah. Because she has a book like this as well with her stuff in it, and she has a mentor who dissected hers and was able to point out some things for her. So that was pretty cool to see. And it's like, now it makes sense. There's more to the story. There's more to this picture. It was blurry and now it's coming into focus. So as a husband, that actually helped me out and being on the same thing in treatment. And now we're a lot better in better harmony as a couple because we're both feeling better,
That's amazing.
And the stresses of the world aren't weighing on us as much because we feel better. So we're able to get through it.
And I think that's important to say that we both have our own stories, right? Will had his story, he's in law enforcement. Military and paramilitary guys are for sure at a high risk of having low testosterone at a younger age, just because the stress of the job, right? And then from my own experience, I was very easily able to get pregnant with both of my babies, but then I really suffered after I had the boys, and I didn't know why. And you go to your doctor and you're like, again, your blood work's normal. Well, why am I gaining weight? Why am I anxious and depressed all the time? And why is this going on? Comes to find out, I had PCOS myself. And that's one thing a lot of people don't understand is just because you have these symptoms and you don't look a certain way or act a certain way, it doesn't mean that you don't have a specific diagnosis.
Right.
And that's a thing that I feel like in traditional medicine we've just come to accept that everything's black and white and there's no in between, and that is not the case whatsoever. So I do think it is important to and I talk about my experience all the time and where I came from, because we all have stories, right? And we can relate more than we cannot relate,
Yeah.
People want to have somebody that's relatable,
right?
I think in whatever they're doing, and when you can connect with somebody, whether it's like a football coach or a doctor or a friend or somebody that you're lifting weights with in the gym, if you know that they've been through what you're going through, as opposed to some guy off the street that's just oh, well, I'm just going to tell you what to do. And it's like, no, look, I've been there. I know what you're going through, where it makes it that much more relatable. And it breaks that barrier down, and people are more willing to trust you.
Right. Absolutely.
At least that's how I feel in my life.
No,
if in whatever scope it is, I run into somebody like that.
Yeah.
And it seems that you guys treat, it's more of the whole person, not just one specific thing.
Right. And that is what is so important to me, right? Because I think we are we're so used to just being treated as a body part in traditional medicine, right? Oh, you have seizures, right? You're going to go to a neurologist, but nobody ever really takes a look at, okay, what's your diet? What are you eating? Are you drinking alcohol? Is this a trigger for you? What does your gut health look like? I just said to Will the other day, I said, and no, I'm not putting anybody down, but I said, I never thought about this, but if you go to a gastroenterologist, do they ever really, or GI doctor, right? Yeah. Do they ever really check your gut microbiome? Like, no, they don't, It's, here's Pepsid, here's omeprazole, here's whatever. And it's important to me that I treat the whole person because, again, just because you have depression and anxiety doesn't mean that it's neurological, right? It could be coming from your gut. It could be coming from the hormones that you lack. So again, it's important to recognize that we treat the whole person. It's just you're not a segmented body part,
I think medicine has turned into that, so segmented.
Right.
Yeah. That if you, you have this issue, go to this doctor. Well, and it's like almost process of elimination.
Right.
And all of a sudden you've gone through 30 doctors and spent God only knows how much money, even if you have insurance, where it's like, okay, I could have come in and got a full scope.
And what prescriptions are you getting from those doctors? And are they talking about those prescriptions that you're on?
That's the biggest thing, I think, too, is they're not even communicating.
Yeah.
No.
So it's like you'll go to your neurologist, and then you'll go to a cardiologist because you're having a little bit of chest pain, and they'll do it, and they'll kick you back here, or they'll kick you to the endocrine person who doesn't talk to and it's just wild because you're like, hold on.
Cycle, and then you're on 6 pills.
Yes.
Bouncing all
and then you're
100%.
having all these side effects, and you're getting a pill for the side effects.
So it's a wild system sometimes, and it's like you got to take a step back and kind of be your own advocate. And kind of do a little research too. But that's what we pride ourselves in, is being there for. Is we're removed from the insurance model, so it's like we can give you a different perspective. And we could talk about that in a complimentary consultation or off camera with other people. But because we can go talk about that all day. But that's what also gives us a leg up, is we're a cash pay model, so we don't have the influences from the outside. So what PCPs and other doctors have to adhere to guidelines set up by Big Pharma or their insurance model that they get paid from. They have strict guidelines or ways they have to practice. She's able to practice more freely and independently and give you real information that can actually help you long term, because she's not bound to those agreements. You know what I mean?
So which makes a bunch of sense.
Yeah,
I went
so it's
to
pretty
a doctor,
huge.
like a therapist at one point, because I had 9 concussions in my life, which can cause a little bit of depression. And I was like, these doctors aren't working. I went to a therapist, and she taught me meditation, breath work, and all these things. And I'm like, oh wow, totally different person. It's crazy because same model. Right. Didn't deal with insurance, cash payment. Told me the natural ways almost where you can, hey, you got this, and I'm here for you. Not oh yeah, just here you go, and see you in 3 weeks, and we'll go from there.
And you saw it firsthand, and that's why we're more of an integrated model. Integrative optimal health model, where we'll take the holistic stuff that we can find, the micronutrients, and like I said, treat the whole person is the way we're trying to do it. And
I try to get you off. Say for example, I think most people know this. I'm not a huge fan of cholesterol medications. They just do more harm than good. So if you're on one, if you come to me, you're on one, we're gonna work to get you off of that, right? How are we gonna do that? Hormones. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna get you on the hormones, get you to optimal levels, so then those numbers start looking good and you feel comfortable coming off of that cholesterol medication, because you can physically see, hey, my numbers have gotten better, my cholesterol has gotten better, so that's also the ultimate goal too. Let's get your blood pressure to a good place where you can get off that blood pressure medication. Your antidepressants, let's get you mentally to a good place and optimize with your hormones so you feel comfortable coming off of your antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication. Even aches and pains, it's amazing. I've had guys that have done a number on their bodies with sports, and they're like, yeah, I had a hard time getting out of bed. My knees would kill me. Now I have no pain. It's amazing. but that's what's really cool for me, is to really see and get the results that the people are looking for.
Oh, and the proof is like in the pudding,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
100%.
you're in there helping
Yeah.
these people every
Yeah.
single day. You guys are seeing it firsthand that, literally changing people's lives for the better. Quality of lives, their marriages, things like that, which ultimately spills over. If they have children or whoever, the kids are going to grow up in a better environment, thanks to those things and the help that you guys are providing.
And just to give a disclaimer, this isn't the silver bullet.
Oh,
There's a lot of, and I just want to clarify that, because people were like, save my marriage. We did other things too. Like we talked to each other, we opened up more communication. Like this is a piece of the overall puzzle, but you have to continuously do work on yourselves. Like you can start this hormone imbalance, but if you're eating like crap, you're undoing the hormones that we're trying to treat.
Yeah.
So we'll give you diet, lifestyle advice or things like that, or we'll outsource you to a person we work with specifically that can give you better advice, who's trained in that, because we're not food counselors and we don't have nutritionists there you go, nutritionists.
Bare minimum.
Yeah. So we'll just say, hey, we got this person that you can touch base with on that. But like, you have to, if you're going to take this on, you have to be willing to change other areas of your life. Yeah. You can't just continue to drink 40 beers on the weekends, but I'm on hormone replacement therapy, I'm not seeing results.
Right.
No, you know what? Like, no crap, you're not seeing any results. Like, that's not going to work. That is not going to benefit you to do that on the weekends. But say you're doing this type of treatment. Right. You have to get in the gym 3 to 5 days a week. You got to try to change your nutrition as much as possible.
Change.
100%. So I just wanted to make a disclaimer with that, because we've had a client start before, and they kept living their lifestyle, and they're like, I'm not seeing any results. Well, the minute they started making some changes, we got a text not too long ago, and he's like, I'm feeling it. Now you're buying in. See, the first 3 months, he's like, this isn't working for me. I'm not feeling it. And then come like a week ago or two, he was like, all right, I see what we're talking about now. He's back in the gym. He's feeling good. He's getting his energy back. He's doing things to make himself feel better outside of this. Working on that whole person aspect. So.
Yeah.
You can lead a horse to water, right? I can do all this fun, fancy stuff, but you take what you want from it, and I can't make you do what you're supposed to be doing, right? And that even goes for compliance, being compliant, with your hormones that I prescribe to you. So there are a lot of things that really play into this. And it's a journey, right? Like this whole thing.
There's no destination.
Exactly. Like, I mean, if ultimately we know where our destination is, and I'll tell you one thing, I think I can speak for Will, we'll have our hormones in our hands, our cold dead hands.
Absolutely.
At the pearly gates.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's been life-changing. And also, people will come to me and say, well, I'm not on any medications. I don't take any pills. Well, okay. So you have to pick one, which path you want to go down, right? Do you want to go on the I'm not on anything and I'm doing everything natural? Or do you want to pick the path where you're going to start on hormone replacement therapy. You're going to try to prevent, chronic disease and illnesses, because that natural path is eventually going to lead you down that chronic disease. And
Father time's undefeated.
Exactly.
It's the truth.
Right.
I mean, regardless.
You're going to fall one day, and do you want to break that hip? Do you want to not break that hip? Do you want to try to take the necessary precautions, to try to prevent these things from happening? So it's just a question of how do I want to live my life, right? What I want out of the life that I have to live.
I mean, we only have one life, but you only get one body.
Right.
And, it's up to us to take as good of care of it as we can. And,
100%.
I mean, it's out there. If you want to go after it and choose to do it and, literally optimize your health, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're excited to be available finally to South Jersey, and
so you guys are in Cape May County.
Yes.
You don't only cover Cape May County?
She can treat in the whole state.
I treat people all the way.
We have people in North Jersey.
Okay.
Down to
Eastern PA. So I do need to see you at least one time in person, because testosterone is a controlled substance. So I'm federally mandated to see you at least once. But yeah, people drive from all over the place. I have a guy in New York City, and I just spoke with him, and he said he's more than willing to drive down.
Wow,
I mean,
that's awesome.
Really, New Jersey is a small state, but
thankfully, I mean, we're so close to so many things.
And I make it worth their while. Like, you're not coming for 15 minutes and then turning around and going back to
you're getting a full basically day out of it.
Yes.
A full work day where you're
100%.
gonna learn and educate.
Exactly.
That's
and personalize. It's personalized care. Like, I take this time because I want to get to know you. You get to know me. Like, I want you to feel comfortable with us going on this journey together.
Right.
So that's really important, and I pride myself in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be a big thing for me too. You know, coming into something like that, you want to feel comfortable with the people you're working with for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, if people want to follow you, guys are on social media, right?
We're on social media.
Social media.
You can find us at Restore Health by Science. Same thing with our website. It's restorehealthbyscience.com. You can also follow me, Cara Carpin NP, on Instagram. And that's
Facebook as well.
Facebook as well. Yeah. Yes, we're on Facebook.
Yep.
Got it.
And our website, restorehealthbyscience.com.
Yeah.
And you can schedule directly on there. You can schedule directly on Instagram or Facebook for your complimentary consultation. And just to end it like this, we just want to let people know we're here. We're not trying to strong arm people to come do what we have. We just want to give them a different avenue. We want to let them know that if they want something outside of just the insurance model, we're here. And we're different in the aspect of, like I said, 3 to 5 hour consultation, concierge service in regards to being available, text message, phone call. You will receive a response within 24 hours for sure, but usually within an hour to 2 hours, you're going to hear back from your provider, which is her. So just to let you know, we're here. We have the cognitive testing, the comprehensive blood work, and then the in-body scans. So that's pretty much it for me. I mean, I can't think of anything else I want to touch on. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Definitely
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you so much for having us.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
of course.
Thank
All
you.
right.